talk about colors and how they affect the human mind. But firstly, I would love to explain why I chose this topic. The reason I wanted to talk about colors is that they always catch my attention. And for the record, I want to be a psychiatrist in the future, and I'm really keen on doing research on human psychology and gradually knowing something new. And of course, as everyone here I think knows, colors have impacts on our minds. But what we don't know is how. I mean, we do know their effects on the internet, but are they really accurate? Have you ever thought about that? In other words, do colors affect us in a specific way, or is it just changeable for each person? Speaking of facts, as it's well known by many scientists, and also me, colors help us memorize something better and also easily transfer it to long-term memory. For instance, if the word banana is printed in yellow like this, the person will not have a hard time trying to memorize the word because they're already connected in our brains. And it also works exactly the same for colors and our memories. They're related to each other. Even if you don't always remember a memory when you see a color, it's there in our minds. Just because we don't always recall them, it doesn't mean they're not engraved in our subconsciousness. In fact, they're always there, affecting us in every aspect of our lives, but we just can't realize it. So, what are all the research, surveys, articles, and essays are based on? Well, they can't know everyone's memories, but there's always a result. But wait, isn't there something we fail to notice? Yes, there is. Of course there is. It's the results. Have you ever noticed how different they are from each other? I bet you didn't. And that explains almost everything. Because experts reach those results with different people, they're always different from each other. Because those people have different attitudes, different vibes, different thoughts, different backgrounds, but most importantly, they have different memories. Since this talk's aim is to confute those well-known facts, I'd rather talk about my own experiences, so I made a survey with over than 20 people and asked 2 different questions about the same color, green. I reckon you all know and agree that it always calms us down because it's the color of nature, but is this really about the color green or the nature itself? Let's have a look. The first question was, what do you feel like in a green environment? And the answers weren't so unexpected. They all said they would feel fresh and peaceful. And when I asked them to describe the environment, they all said they thought of a natural place where they can see plants, trees, flowers, and so on. And for the second question, I just changed one word and got different answers. I told him to think they were in a room which is decorated with the color green, or the walls can be printed with green, it doesn't matter. And the answers came up a bit different from the other one. Some of them said they would feel irritated and also distracted. Despite the fact that they all felt positive in a natural place, some of them felt negative in an indoor place where they can see the color green. So, as a result, for those who didn't like the color green, the color wasn't the factor that relaxed them. It was the nature itself. And those who didn't like the color green had a bad memory, which includes that color as a detail. So whenever they look at it, they can't think of anything else but that memory. It reminds them of the feeling they felt when they were having that moment. And just to make you understand better, I tried to find a real example. So I asked my mom if she has a color she hates, and she told me one of them. It was bright blue. And then I asked her to tell me why. Why do you hate it? At first, she was lost for words. She couldn't tell me why. So I decided to give her the clue. I told her to think of a memory in which the color bright blue is included. Surprisingly, it didn't take a long time for her to find it. So here comes the story. When my mom was about my ages, her mom had a bright blue cardigan, and she used to wear that cardigan before she was going out. And when she was out, my mom had to stay at home and look after her siblings alone. And I don't think anyone would love to do that. It's so tedious, isn't it? So apparently, she got sad whenever she saw her mom wearing that cardigan because she knew that she had to stay at home. And after a while, her brain connected those items to each other just to protect her from feeling down. And therefore, she started hating that color because it reminded her of sadness. But she didn't know why until now. I mean, she did. It was in the back of her mind, in her subconsciousness, but she just couldn't see it. So that's what we have to do, just to think. We have to think as deeply as we can and find out why we don't like a specific color. Now I know you're all going to be like, but Why is it a big deal? Why is it so important? It's only because colors shape our lives in both positive and negative ways. And I want all of you to think and use the advantage of colors. You just have to think. The facts on the internet can't know you better than yourself. You always know the best. Don't ever, ever forget that.